Good afternoon, everyone, and it's a great pleasure to meet you again. I guess it's been quite some time. On very few occasions that we meet and we have something so interesting, something that makes us so proud to present to you. We've always wanted to have KKESH as one of the institutions in the front line of technology and the use of technology for the benefit of our patients and our staff and members. And today we're going to inaugurate a project that was a dream that I personally have always had. And then I had the opportunity to share that dream with Dr. Adi, who took charge of having it come to life along with his team, Dr. Ahmed Al-Yahya, our colleague Siham Al-Shahrani, and Ms. Fadwa Arweli. Now, they are the small team who worked on this project, but there is a bigger team made of all of you who worked very hard to make everything possible from the administrative point of view or the administrative side to the medical side. It's very little that, unfortunately, at KKESH, we've had technology that we have started ourselves, and we have to be very frank and honest and very transparent with ourselves. Most of the time, we've been using technology that have been presented somewhere else and using the final product for our patient. This time, we're starting something that we've always wanted, that we implement and start something that has not been used, at least in the region, in our field, and then try to develop this and bring it to the international arena. And hopefully, this small lab at this time will be the beginning and the foundation of a much bigger innovation lab within KKESH. Today, it's a great opportunity for me and to all of you to witness the inauguration of the 3D printing lab of King Khalid Eye Specialist Hospital. And without going into further details and wasting more time, I'll ask Dr. Adi to come and give us more details of the lab. Dr. Adi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Your Excellency, Dr. Abdulaziz Al-Rajhi, Chief Executive Officer, Senior Hospital Executives, Directors, Staff Ophthalmologists from the hospital and outside the hospital, my colleagues, fellows, and residents, I'd like to welcome you all in coming to the KKESH Innovation Lab inauguration. If we look at the history of the healthcare sector in the kingdom, I would classify the stages that we went through into three. And I'll put KKESH in this perspective. We initially started back in the 1970s. We didn't have any hospitals to treat patients, and patients were traveling abroad to receive medical treatment. And this ended when King Khalid bin Abdul Aziz, may Allah grant him Jannah, issued the royal decree to establish King Khalid Eye Specialist Hospital back in 1979. And the second stage, we had the infrastructure, but we did not have enough staff. We did not have enough Saudi ophthalmologists. And this ended when the custodian of two holy mosques, King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz, may Allah grant him Jannah, back in 2014, tripled the number of medical colleges in the kingdom. And this in turn increased the number of residents and fellows, and then subsequently doctors and ophthalmologists, specifically in our field. As an example, just to give you a sense, when I graduated residency, we were training only 14 ophthalmologists in Riyadh. Now, this number, I think, more than doubled this year. So we ended the second stage, which is we have the infrastructure, we have the people. The third stage is started with the initiation of Vision 2030 on the 26th of April 2016, which is, we're not, as Dr. Abdulaziz mentioned, we're not only consumers of knowledge, we are producers of knowledge in terms of research and innovation. And this is the vision that we had at KKESH. This is the vision that I shared with Dr. Abdulaziz a little over a year ago when I met him in his office. And I know that Dr. Abdulaziz doesn't want me to mention this, but he's always been supportive. And his answer is always, tell me what you need and I will support you. And with the support of the administration and with all staff in the hospital, purchasing, information technology, facility management system, we came up with this achievement. So I'd like to thank everyone that worked on the innovation lab. If we think about innovation in ophthalmology and we look around us in the world, the Barvelt glaucoma implant was invented by George Barvelt, a US ophthalmologist, and then it was later commercialized from the United States. Eckhart end gripping retinal forceps, invented by a German ophthalmologist that was then commercialized from Germany. And I can go on and on and on. In cornea, for instance, the Boston keratoprosthesis, amongst others. Klaas Dolman, which is an American ophthalmologist with Swedish ancestry, was part of that team. But unfortunately, we don't have Muhammad's implant or Noura's forceps. Why? We are not short. We are the same. It's only about the culture. It's only about having a similar culture that they have and support that they have abroad. And this is what we want to do with the Innovation Lab, to level the playing field between a Saudi ophthalmologist and any ophthalmologist in the developed world. Before I hand it over to Engineer Fadwa, I'd like to thank the Innovation Lab team. Dr. Ahmed Al-Yahya unfortunately got sick last week and he could not make it to the inauguration. Dr. Ahmed, you all know him, he's a physician, but he was the bridge between us and the engineers that are working in the lab. He is a very unique person that he has combined knowledge when it comes to innovation, covering the medical side and the technical side. If it was not for his contribution and efforts and the efforts of everyone else, we wouldn't have been here. So I'll hand it over now to Ms. Fadwa. I want you to give a huge round of applause to Fadwa, because not only she's part of the lab, she's a new KKESH employee that recently joined us as an engineer in the lab.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Fadwa Roueli. I am the 3D printing designer in the Innovation Lab, and I'll be happily presenting to you the services that the Innovation Lab provides and talk a bit about design for in the medical field. So for starters, we want to create an environment that has an idea cultivation. We want to create a judgment-free zone where everyone feels free to be the innovative person that they want to be as doctors and support their journey throughout. Next, me as an industrial designer, I'll be there to help you and leverage my expertise in industrial design to improve the designs or ideas that you have in mind to create a better end product. And lastly, once we feel confident about the idea and the design, we'll be able to prototype the idea. It could start as something made out of cardboard, or then we can start with the advanced 3D printing technologies that we have in the lab. Next is basically diving into design, and what makes a good idea truly innovative is a set of process that we have to follow. And through design, there are many methods or techniques that we follow to create products, but I chose to follow the design thinking method since it's very accessible for non-designers and it's easily digestible. Because what I want to do, or what I want to create for now, is to shift the use of passive use or consuming of medical tools into something more about wanting to improve them and change them to something much better, and to be basically more deliberate about change and innovation. So as you can see, the design thinking method, it's a 5-step method: empathizing, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And it's not a linear process, so you can go back and forth between steps until you're confident and comfortable with the final idea that you have and you want to present as a research, for example. So as Dr. Adi said, I just started in the KKESH hospital, and I had my own orientation day in the OR room, and I got to meet and talk to a lot of doctors. And I think what made me happy is I was able to see and people who would compete with their passion about design and creating innovative ideas that made me feel I picked the right decision to be here. And I've noticed that doctors have tendencies or like natural tendencies to empathize with their patients. So as you can see, the first step of empathizing, we have photo and video observation, assuming beginner's mindset, engaging with extreme users, and so on. And it's something I've noticed all doctors go through while working in the OR room. So I think since I guess we've signed like a verbal NDA, I wouldn't be able to share some of the ideas that the doctor told me, but I can tell you something about poorly designed items that we have in our daily lives. So for example, if you've noticed, who have ever like pulled a push door once in their life? I think it's very common. It's very common, and I would like to tell you it's not because of your clumsiness or it's something wrong with you misreading the clearly written push word. It's more like about the design that the door is communicating with you. The door is telling you that there's a handle, so you need to pull it. But in reality, it's a push door. So this is a poorly designed item. And you can see that within so many different items. You can see it through sinks. You can see it through maybe tools within the medical industry, where you would find yourself holding a tool in the wrong manner when it's supposed to be held differently. This is the tool communicating to you how the product is, I would say, poorly designed. So, and for you to like, that's why I want you to be more intentional about the product that you're using. So you could create like, I would say, the $1 billion idea. But one thing is, once you've created or like you found something that's actually like I would say a mistake or a pain or like a poorly designed product, you have to make sure that your design is not only good as an idea, it has to follow 3 important points. So first, we have feasibility, desirability, and viability. This is the main points that you have to look after whenever you're designing something. So if your product only has feasibility and desirability, you'd see that the product will never be able to pay for itself. You'd be losing money rather than making money. If the product is feasible and viable, you miss the point that it has to be desirable. Sometimes when we design something, we tend to miss out on the fact maybe initially it wasn't actually needed and there is like a different solution for it, or there is a different way to approach the solution. And lastly, we have whenever your design is desirable and viable, sometimes we don't have the current technology to develop such ideas, which is still something to keep in mind until I guess we've reached a point where we have such technology. So now let's say and we've developed the idea, or like your idea is fully developed. Now you need to visualize the idea. I've showcased the ways where you can show or like explain your idea to people that you want to explain the idea to. I'd like to say that if someone is worried about their sketching skills or whatever, I would like to inform you that not even designers, they're not even good at sketching. It's not really important. It's just as much as like some designers, they just have bad writing as much as doctors, handwriting, so that's fine. As long as you'll be able to like conceptualize and show your idea. It could be through a form. You could take the original tool that you want to develop and just add on it using foil, cardboard, Play-Doh, whatever is available at your home is still good and usable. And lastly, once you've like reached a good stage developing your prototype, then will come us the innovation lab and will help you to develop a higher fidelity prototype, whether it's digital or tangible through the 3D printing prototype. And now I'll pass it to Ms. Siham Shahrani to explain to you how you can apply for the innovation lab.
Thank you, Dr. Adi. Thank you, Dr. Rajhi. Thank you, Ms. Fadwa. This is Siham Shahrani, the Innovation and Integration Senior Specialist. I would like today to share with you the process to submit your idea to the innovation department. Basically, we have two forms to understand your idea. The first form is application form. It has a 3 sections: the idea design and the literature review and the drawings. You can find some question that will clarify the idea for you and for us as an innovation team. The second form is assurance form. Basically, it's terms and conditions to understand your rights, the innovator right and the innovation department right, beside the KKESH right itself and this idea. If this form is completed, we're gonna go through the submission workflow. When you submitted this documents, full documents to the innovation department, if it's completed and clear, it will be accepted. If it's incompleted, like it's not clear, there is not a clear point or maybe missing answers, we'll send it back to the innovators for more clarification. The completed submissions will go through the next stage and will be reviewed through the innovation team. If it's accepted and applicable idea, so you will be informed. If it's not applicable at this being time, so I think we must reject this idea. It doesn't mean it's a bad idea. Maybe it's not applicable at this time. So please keep sending your idea and we'll receive it and review it. You can contact the innovation department through this email, innovation@kkesh.mid.sa. You can access this email through the address book. And for sure, you are mostly welcome to visit the innovation team in the Rajhi building, the basement of Rajhi building. Now I will hand it back to Dr. Adi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Siham and Fadwa, and I'd like to thank you all for coming today. This may seem like a huge achievement, but this is only the beginning. We all need to work together to achieve our goal that I described at the beginning. So let's think big, start small, and start now. Thank you all for coming. That's a very important question. This is a question we asked ourselves: what are the services that we will provide? So any idea or any innovation goes through a huge cycle. We will only initially cover the first 3 steps of that cycle, which Fadwa mentioned in the presentation. So we'll help you improve your idea and then design it using computer-aided design, as you see in the video, and then prototype it, testing it on some demos and in the wet lab. After that, we currently plan initially in the future to complete the cycle of services, which is obtaining a patent, commercialization, etc. But until now, we are covering only the first 3 steps. I hope that answered your question. دكتور عادل كان عندك سؤال. تفضل.
السلام عليكم. I'm very happy to see this project, coming to fruition, and I'd like to thank you and the whole group for Dr. Abdelaziz for this great achievement. My question is, being someone who's always attached to KKESH and believing myself being still a part of it, is there any opportunity to collaborate from people from outside the institution? Because I can see that the application process starts with something through the KKESH portal.
Yeah, thank you for your nice comments and thank you for coming. before I answer your question, I'd like to thank everyone that came from outside KKESH, because you paid some efforts in going through heavy traffic to attend the event today, so thank you. We are definitely, coming to your question, we are definitely open to collaboration. And internally, we have our own strategy within the lab. And a huge part of that strategy is collaborating with partners from the private sector and from academia specifically. We are more than happy from anyone inside KKESH or outside KKESH to collaborate with the lab. You can contact us through the email innovation@KKESH. Most of you know me, so you can contact me directly, of course. But just for legal purposes and agreement purposes, submitting a project currently, as we do in research, you have to have a co-inventor from the institute inside. Any other comments, questions? تفضل دكتور حسن.
It's very great. A step to go in that, which I wish that since long time, as there is a lot of invention in ophthalmology, and you have a lot of instruments like fine surgical instruments that need to be refined. There is a chance for that first? Second question, that we have many products not out of this inventions, like an IOLs, which is very good marketing. We have new materials and things like that. Is that going to include? Is there any partners from the international companies or big companies that manufacturing the ophthalmology instruments? Other than this, we are thinking about.
Thank you for your encouraging words and support. And you've raised a very important point that I would like to clarify. We need to differentiate between, let's call it, simple surgical instruments and medical devices. These things do not require a huge investment. And then on the other side, you have complex innovations that need huge R&D, such as IOLs and gene therapy, stem cells, stuff like that. We cannot do that part, of course. We won't be able to manufacture a new design of IOL because it's beyond our scope. Initially, our focus is on the first part, which is simple surgical devices and surgical instruments and medical devices. But the sky is the limit. Moving forward, we can expand to anything. But it's very important that everyone and we together understand the scope initially, starting small but thinking big. تفضل دكتور حمد.
First of all, I think I present everyone for saying that we are very excited for this project. My question is, can we ask the Innovation Lab to come with us in the OR and discuss the problems that we face with some devices and discuss the ideas that we can go through?
Yes.
Before we submit a document and everything?
Of course. Actually, Fedwa, as she mentioned in her presentation, first 2 weeks in the hospital, she was in the OR for 2 weeks. And I believe she has interacted with some of you during her orientation. And bridging the gap, as you've mentioned, is a very important aspect. And if anyone wants to invite Fedwa to come to OR, please contact us, of course. We would usually prefer that initially, whomever has an idea, submit a request or a project. And within that project, Fedwa will definitely visit you in the OR, so not the other way around. I believe that's all the questions. I'll hand it over to Dr. Rajhi for closing remarks.
And, I think the first step would be to have a presentation from the lab staff to our staff on the material and the capability of the 3D printing lab, because many of us might not know exactly what they can do. Therefore, how can we start ideas when we don't know what they can manufacture? So I would suggest when Dr. Ahmed, inshallah, comes out of his current health condition, we organize a small meeting, could be here, and invite anyone who's interested, where the staff would present to you the material that we have, what kind of material it is, capability, what it can do, and we'll discuss with you what can be used for. So at least sometimes, by the way, we don't have to produce the instrument itself, but we can produce the prototype of the instrument. So it's a plastic copy, if I'm correct, of the instrument that you would like to present, and then we can present it somewhere else to a company that would adopt it and produce it. But at least you have the prototype to look at it, feel, get a feeling of how it is, and know how to use it. And the use is big. The smallest, most obvious one is prosthesis, ocular prosthesis. But of course, there are so many other things that you can use to even for marking the eyes for procedures, holding the eye, forceps, intraocular instruments. There are lots of things that you can do, even for toys and for kids and things that will attract their attention. We can play around with it as we're still feeling our way through. So I think when Dr. Ahmed comes out, inshallah, from his current medical status, we can have that meeting, discuss the material and what we can present, and we can take it from there. We're now going to the lab to see the lab. Is it open? Well, it's not ready. Too many people. We will later on open it for everyone to go and visit, and I'm sure Fad will be more than happy to host you all there and explain to you. But in order to make it much easier, we'll have one session, as I said, where we explain it to everyone. But I think, in my opinion, this is a great step forward into the future for KKESH. We've always been a little bit one step behind. We were happy with being the first one to apply technology and to use the technology. I hope now we are going one step ahead, where we are the first one to invent technology and start with new devices. And all of this is بتوفيق من Allah. Then your support, your hard work, and of course the core of very special individuals who helped, and the team around them who supported them to have this dream come true. So thank you all for coming, and hopefully one day we'll have very soon something else new to announce to all of you. Thank you very much.